Hey, welcome back. Big thank you for your patience, guys. I've been a little MIA. I've been absolutely dialed in on the minimal tech house pack that I'm making. It's called El Minimal. So I've really been focusing on the sound design work. I really want to get that out to you guys. It's going to be absolutely tremendous. I mean, trust me, it's going to have all those basses that everybody keeps asking where they're getting that from. You know, that low-pitched rumble kind of bass that Clooney, Pasa, and all these guys use, Black Child, and so forth. So today we're going to be covering one of my favorite topics, and this topic is universal. So everyone goes through this. Large artists, mid-tier artist, bedroom producer, everyone deals with this topic, and it is called writer's block. You can forget about it, the worst. So we're gonna go over some tips today on how to overcome writer's block. These are some of the tips that I use and some of the advice that I've received, and also I like to give because it's helped me out and it's helped others. So the first set of things I'm gonna go over this lesson are gonna be more technical, and the second half is just gonna be some solid advice. So without further ado, let's dive in. What are we doing here? All right, so one of the first things that I like to do, let's just say I've been at it for a minute, maybe even a couple days, maybe in a couple weeks. I'll be like, you know what? I have this crazy writer's block. What are we doing here? I'll go ahead and leverage an acapella of a song that I used to like, or maybe a song I've never heard, so there's no bias. But in this scenario or example, I'm using Sierra 1-2 Step song. So automatic supersonic hit. The way I go about that is, I mean, there's many ways to do it, but in this case, I just went to YouTube, put Sierra 1-2 Step Acapella, and luckily there was something there. But in the event that there is nothing on YouTube, you can use certain resources like Fader, or I think there's another one called Moses or something like that. By the way, guys, I'm not sponsored by any of these. I'm just trying to give you guys some resources, but I've used these guys before. I think they're pretty good, in my opinion. Gets the job done. I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. So you can extract all the vocals, drums, and like instruments and bass lines and stuff like that. You could also just search up YouTube to Wave on Google, and you can just put the YouTube link and get that for free. The second step is I go to Google again and put 1-2 Step Key and BPM by Sierra, and TuneBat or Song BPM usually have it. I'm sure there's many websites that have it, so just try to get the one that's most consistent. See what key you're in, see what the beats per minute is, and then just drag and drop it into Ableton. But once you're here, make sure everything's on time. And I made a little example for you guys. I think it sounds pretty cool. I probably won't release this. We'll see how I'm feeling. If people ask for it, I'll do it, just like the other Dile remix I did. What I did is I started off with the vocal, and then I have preset my Casa Volume 1 sound bank called Organ Torta. I got that from Fool's Gone Wild. I don't know if you guys follow him on Insta. It's an LA thing, but the torta is a Latin thing. I'm not gonna get into that. So anyways, I usually start off with the vocal, then the bass line. Automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, funky, fresh. With my body so melodic, this beat rolls right through my chest. Everybody, Martin, pop. Right, now I'm like getting a little groove, right? And guys, you don't even have to do a groove like this. Like they just say you absolutely have no idea what to write. You could just do the root notes and start off there, right? Find your root notes, find what notes you can hit based off the key that you're in, and go from there. Right, start off like that, and then little by little you'll start to get a groove. So first vocals, then you go into the bass line, and then I like to throw like a hat loop to get some groove. Automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, funky, fresh. With my body so melodic, this beat rolls right through my chest. And then maybe once you add the drums, you start getting inspired. You get a little groove, and you're like, you know what? I'm kind of hearing this bass line now, right? And that's where you get rid of this re-space, and you find some sort of groove like this. Automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, funky, fresh. Don't stop it. Everybody get on the floor. So you start getting these ideas little by little, right? It doesn't just happen magically, and you have to really just start from the basics, right? Let's take an idea that's existed, and then from there we start building on it, right? It could be drums on top of that. It could be the bass line on top of that, and they just start building layer after layer after layer, and there you go. You have a 16-bar loop. And then you start drafting a song from there. And with that being said, this goes to my next point, is using high quality sound banks. This scenario, I'm using my sound bank. However, you can use any high quality sound bank that works for you, whether if it's from Splice, whether it's from another YouTuber, whether it's from another company. If it works for you and you like how they make their sound bank, use that. Because I've noticed, at least from my experience, when I get a new sound bank and I have writer's block, I'll start hearing all these sounds. So maybe it's serum presets, maybe it's drum loops, and I'll start throwing them in there, and I'll be like, okay, now we have this groove. Next thing you know, you're dialed in for like 2 hours, and you have this 16-bar idea, and you're like, damn, this is dope. I'm building off of that. Hopefully it doesn't take you 2 hours for a 16-bar idea, but sometimes that happens. I really like that. You can sift through presets. Automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, funky, fresh. With my body so melodic. And you just figure out which one fits best. Obviously I chose this one because I thought it sounded best. And now I'll get inspired. Now I'll throw extra drums. Now I have an idea of how the song is going to be structured and laid out. So highly recommend using a high quality sound bank. All right, so the next topic is going to be referencing. This is obviously something that's probably never going to go out of style, right? It's taking something that's already been done and making it your own. You know, the key is to take maybe a couple elements that you like. Maybe it's the feel, maybe it's the bass line, maybe it's the drums, and just making a completely new idea around that. So for this example, we're going to be using Hugo's song Morenita, and I took two things from this. I took the bass line, that same idea, and then also the same feel or vibe, which is pretty much a minor key, right? I was like, I know I'm going to make it in a minor key, and I know it's going to have this bass line, and it's going to have that same melodic feel. So those are the two elements that I picked from this song, and I'll show you in just a second how that sounds. So let's hear the reference track first, and then I'll show you the demo track that I made, or the... And here's the demo track that I made. All right, so let's break down the two elements that gives it the character, right? First thing is bass line. I'm going to solo it so you can hear it. As you can see, they sound very similar. A couple notes are different, but it gives it that same groove, right? That same kind of rhythm that you're looking for. The second thing I added was this reverse vocal, and it sounds something like this. And as you can see, that reverse vocal adds that melodic feel to it. So those are some of the steps, right? Then you start adding your drums, your grooves, right? You start feeling it out as you go. But that's the way I usually like to reference. I'll reference maybe a couple key elements from a track that's already been released and it's popular maybe, or maybe the direction that I want to go to, and then I'll take those little elements and make it my own, right? All right, guys. So this last one is going to be sampling. We're going to be using Ableton Simpler, but you know, whatever DAW that you're using, hopefully has some sort of sample tool. I've seen a lot of hip hop guys do this. Actually, one of my really good friends, hip-hop producer, and he leverages the simpler or sampler quite a bit. And even the minimal tech house guys really enjoy sampling bass lines, taking certain bass lines and making it their own, chopping it up. So I think that's really cool how it's being popularized in house music. But what I did here, for example, is I got this vocal from Splice. I mean, I don't even know what pack it's from, but it's gonna do the job. So let's just say I have writer's block and I'm like, you know, let me find something that I feel sounds pretty good in Splice or whatever sample pack that you're using, and then chop it up. So this is what I use in its raw format. Quiero contigo bailar. Déjame contigo bailar. Sé que quieres bailar. And then I just drag and dropped it into Ableton Simpler. And once I dragged it in, I put it into slice mode. And I think I put it by beat. Yeah, by beat instead of transient. And then I put it to the 1/4 time signature. Yeah, I was just messing around with it at first. And I found a pattern that I felt kind of fit the track. So, and obviously once I did that, I messed around with all the different settings, like by transient first, then I did by beat. Then I switched it to 1/16, 1/4. And then depending on the division that you use, obviously the bars get smaller, lower, and it cuts down the sample. But, you know, you want to mess around with it a little bit, see what you get, and this is what I came up with. As you can see, nothing crazy, but just an extra layer into the track that fills up a little more space, or, you know, adds some sort of groove. I added some processing. I just threw some CLA vocals, LFO, and then like a transgate, so it gives it that choppy feel. So that's what I felt like doing at the time, but obviously I approach it any way you'd like, right? These are just some of the tools that help me, and I really hope that they help you. And the next two pieces of advice I'm going to give you is more of theoretical than technical. But guys, let me tell you something super important, so please chime in. All right, so this next piece of advice, in my opinion, is probably the most important. And let me explain why. So the topic we're going to be discussing is perfectionism. Now, I have fallen victim to this plenty of times, right? Like, for example, I was supposed to start this YouTube channel in 2020, but I procrastinated until 2023 because everything had to be perfect. The stars had to be aligned, and the horoscopes, and you're not gonna get anywhere like that. I like to follow the 70% rule. If it's 70% of the way there, if it's good enough, if it's just good enough, release it. You'll be surprised how many people like you're good enough. And not only that, that 70% is gonna keep going up as you keep releasing things, because you're gonna get better, your workflow is gonna get better, and you're gonna be yielding and seeing more results as you go. But I can guarantee you this, you will not see that if you stay in the planning phase and the perfectionism state. But I think one of the most important things about execution and releasing and following that 70% rule is it's kind of like a snowball effect. Like, let's just say you release your first song and you're kind of iffy about it, you're insecure about it, and then you start seeing people, hey, can you send me that song and let me play it at the club, let me play here, and it really gives you that confidence, and it builds a snowball effect on your progress and you releasing things. You're getting that positive reinforcement. You won't see that if you don't put things out and you fall into that perfectionism mentality. Just be good enough. That's all you have to do. So please don't fall victim to that like I did in my music and content career. The next piece of advice is do not compare yourself to other artists. You know, every artist has a unique style. Some may be further along in their career and they develop their workflow that works for them. They have their unique sound and you have yours. The best part about all this is who can be you but you.
Yeah, because once you be you, who can be you but you?
You know, are you going to want to listen to John Summit or Dom Dollar every single day for the rest of your life? Are you going to want to eat the slice of pizza every day for the rest of your life? You want pasta every day? No, you need to switch it up. And that's where you come in and your creativity. You know, these artists can be used as references just to get a creative idea of what direction maybe you want to go to. People want to get to know you, your branding, what does your brand stand for? What does your music stand for, right? They want to hear your sound. So benchmark and reference, but make it your own. So in summary, if I was giving advice to my younger self, I would say, do not compare yourself to others. Use their work as a reference or benchmark, but make it your own. Add your own twist to it. The industry is big enough and is looking for new talent and new styles. All right, so I know this video was a little different. I usually go into more technical detail, but I really think that advice that was given today is extremely solid and is really going to help you. So once again, guys, thank you for sticking all the way through the end. If you found this useful, please consider subscribing. And if you'd like to support the channel, please go to GrocoNation.com. I also have a link down below to the website. And that's about it. I'm going to get back to sound designing and finishing this pack. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Espérate,